All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody. How are you? Hope everybody is having a great weekend. This is Ian Bellina, and I'm being joined by Bill Noble from the Tokenomics team. Again, we have some feedback over there. Hope everybody's having a great weekend, and we're here to talk about Bitcoin crash, the Bitcoin crash, or rather, will Bitcoin crash or bounce back, right? Because we know there's been a big, exciting week. Whether that was good or bad depends whether you're long or short on Bitcoin or crypto. But I think it's definitely going to be a very exciting live stream. Hello, Bill. How are you?
Ian, good evening. Happy to be here.
Great, great. All right. So let's see who we have here on the live stream. So this is going out to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Also gets turned into a podcast. And before we start, just want to say thank you to everybody who watched the last videos from last week. We definitely appreciate the support. Definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment in terms of how you think we can give you guys better content. Bill, can you briefly turn off your screen? I think let's give it a few minutes as people join the live stream.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So before we start, let me just have a few quick announcements in terms of the agenda I wanted to share with you guys. All right. So as usual, this is not financial advice. Tokenomics is a brand new platform we're launching. This is a regular publication of information, analysis, and commentary focused especially on blockchain technology and business, cryptocurrency, and just regular tokenomics analysis, right? What you guys have known us for, but under this totally brand new company we're doing. And we think we're really going to change the world with this platform we're building as well, which we'll get into probably more towards the end of the show. But I just want to kind of put this disclaimer there. For the full list of our holdings for cryptocurrency, just go to our blog, blog.tokenomics.com/disclosures, and we have our entire disclosures there. All right, so let's give it a few minutes and we'll be starting shortly. And if anybody has any issues with the audio, just drop in the comments below. And if anybody has any issues with that, all right. Seems we're having some issues with that video rendering. But anyway, let's just go straight into it. Thank you to everybody who's joining. I see we already have 27 people on the live stream. And I think let's just go straight into it, Bill. So before we really dive into the technical analysis, kind of tell us what happened, man. Like everybody thought Bitcoin and Ethereum especially was going to bounce back and go towards the moon. But it seems everybody got caught off guard. What's your take on it?
Well, you know, that's exactly what happened, right? The crypto community was braced and ready. They were putting a lot of faith and backed. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but apparently people were hanging their hat on it. So at best, we had a gigantic disappointment trade and week longs got flushed out. At worst, there's some sort of big problem out there that we don't know about that's going to lead big players to just keep right on selling. But if I had to give it to you sort of like in an elevator, I would just say everybody panicked all at once. And you know what? Markets don't need a reason to go down. Sometimes they just go. When everyone leans too far one way, they can get shocked and get hit back the other way. And in this case, it was a crypto flush lower.
Now, so we put out a video, which is coming out soon for crypto download, where we said that we think there are several factors at play, right? So as you mentioned, the lackluster performance or opening of Backed, and then also different capital markets, maybe the election, I believe you mentioned, right? Maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe impeachment. I mean, there's so many forces at play, and also miners as well, right? So it seems like people as a whole are getting very concerned with possible recession in other markets, and that's also affecting crypto.
Right. There's a lot to sort out, right? So I think in order to break down what's going to happen in crypto, you've got to synthesize all the information out here, and you got to boil it down to something that people can use. And that's what we're going to deliver to you today.
All right, sounds good. So let's hop into it.
Okay. All right. So let's start with a chart that tells us where we are in Bitcoin right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this slowly, right? We're going to cover the bullish argument. We're going to cover the bearish argument. And then I'm going to tell you what I think. All right. So
sounds good.
All right. So this is a daily chart of Bitcoin. All right. And the guys who really nailed the market and nailed the downturn, right? I'm going to be humble and say, you know, I got caught off guard along with a lot of other people, but the Elliott Wave crowd, they did a pretty good job of catching it, right? And here's what I think they're looking at. So every big trend will have 5 parts. It'll start off slow. That's the first part. And then it'll bore you to tears. That's the second part. And it's a party that never stops. That's the third part. All right. And then there's this big shakeout. Okay. This is very traditional, very typical. I mean, this isn't right here, but this is a typical like indigestion, right? And then the final 5th wave, you know, it's that 2 or 3 extra shots after midnight that you just shouldn't do. It's a party that never stops until you have a really bad hangover. So
and that was a hell of a party.
That is a hell of a party, right? So if I had to distill it down, let me tell you what this chart means in English. So this black line is the 200-day moving average. A lot of people are looking at it, and crypto sort of crashes down below it. All right. It crashes below the 50% retracement of this whole big sort of initial party move. And it makes everyone scared. Everyone gets out. No one buys. I mean, you sit here, you look at this thing this morning, it's slumping, and you're like, oh, I can't touch this. So Bitcoin has scared everybody away, and it's either going to stop near 8,000 because this is a support point from where it originally took off. So we've kind of returned back to this very important horizontal support zone between, say, 7,900 and 7,400, right? And a lot of the Elliott Wave guys are talking about an area near 73, 7,400 if there's sort of a panic spike down, okay?
Okay, so you're saying the support now is 7,900 for Bitcoin based on Elliott Wave?
Right. I think 7,900, 8,000 is support, and I think if that breaks, you're going to see a flush lower to 7,400.
Wow. Okay, very interesting.
All right, so that's kind of where we are. Now, I think the Elliott Wave guys, I think the way I would draw it is that it would hold somewhere in here and then move this way to 16,000. But again, that's my opinion. Let me just continue to stick to the facts. The facts are everyone's scared. No one knows what's happening. There are a lot of variables, but if you look at the chart, we're kind of perched on support, which was the launch point of a prior rally. All right, so that'll be our bottom line for this chart. All right, now switching over to Ethereum. All right, now, if we're looking at a 2-day chart of Ethereum, we're seeing something very similar, okay? This zone here from May is where ETH initially took off, all right? And I'm really interested to see that from September, this low, this major low in September of 2018 helps form a zone between 155 and 170, okay? Which, you know, right now is holding. You know, I thought this here was a major breakout. Like when Ethereum broke this trend line, I FOMO'd. I FOMO'd.
Yeah.
And, you know, in crypto, you should never FOMO, but I did anyway. And, you know, the market teaches me a lesson. All right. So this trend line now comes in somewhere in that 175 area. Okay. But, you know, I have to be honest with you. I have a really hard time, unless Ethereum just shatters the recent lows or shatters below 150. I have a really hard time not liking it. But, you know, again, I'm sticking with the facts. Ethereum, like Bitcoin, is on support. Now, speaking of support, this comes from sort of a site that's out there on the internet that I like. It's charts.cointrader.pro. All right. And this is altcoin market cap. Now, altcoin market cap has crashed into a zone. So there's this area over here in November. Okay. This is where the crash started. It was a high point in December and January. It was resistance in February. And in March, this market cap area was a zone where it took off from in March. Okay. So we're at this huge inflection point for alts. Okay. And honestly, you know, when I think of alts, I think of like Ethereum, Litecoin, and EOS and all that stuff at the top of the chain, and even the smaller alts below it. Right. And I gotta be honest with you, I have a hard time being negative here, but I could also be intellectually honest that if alts crack this point, right, then God only knows where the bottom is in terms of alt market cap.
I mean, that's scary, right? Because the last few months, I would say almost all of September, also been getting more wrecked. And you're saying they can go even lower based on this chart.
Yeah, I mean, if it breaks the support, right? Like if you have a huge, you know, if you have another big down week, you know, in Ethereum on down on the market cap charts, then, you know, that's it. But, you know, I would make the market prove me wrong on support for crypto at this point, right? I mean, you know, if alts fall apart like this, there's something wrong because of the nature of the support. So that's how I would say it. All right, so let me switch off charts and give you a reason why, you know, Bitcoin should turn around and rally, and then I'll give you this grisly bearish view. All right. So in the political markets, so there are political markets, right, where you can bet on candidates, and these are tracked by major Wall Street players. This comes from a guy who actually recommended me for one of my first major jobs in this business, Jim Bianco. Basically,
sounds good.
Yeah. So, you know, Joe Biden had a tough time last week, and somebody named Elizabeth Warren on the Democratic side, her probability of becoming the next nominee exploded. It's this purple line in the top corner, up to 54%. Now you're like, who's Elizabeth Warren? Then that can't possibly matter. Okay, well, people said the same thing about Donald Trump in 2016, because I was telling people, you better pay attention to this guy. Everyone's like, whatever. This is the new whatever. Okay, Elizabeth Warren. Now, who's Elizabeth Warren? All right, well, it doesn't matter whether you like her or you don't like her. What Elizabeth Warren wants to do is print money. She wants to hand it out and print it, okay? So I've got this quote here or this summary from an article on Zero Hedge about Elizabeth Warren. You know, she wants a $15 an hour minimum wage, okay? She wants, you know, $50,000 in student loan debt canceled, okay? Universal child care, free college education, and I believe over here, child care for every single American family with a child up to $70 billion a year. In other words, Elizabeth Warren thinks that everything should be free to try to help people. Now, listen, folks, it's not a political talk show. You can like that, you can hate it. But the bottom line is, and last week we talked to MMT, okay? The only way to make those things happen is to print money. And 60% of the electorate is either Generation Z or millennial, okay? And these generations have had a really hard time and are really amenable to, you know, single payer healthcare and all these handouts that are going to require massive printing of money. So when I looked at these developments, you know, again, this is a market that actually trades. This is not some forecast. When I see this, I see strange geopolitical developments. I go, you know, okay, so they marked down Bitcoin like at the department store, right? It was a, you know, 25% off sale. And I'm looking at it at 8,000 and I'm going, okay, well, I got the last call wrong, but this feels like Christmas. All right, I said I wouldn't give you my opinion to the end, but I lied. All right, so let's go. Now let's go to what the bearish people are thinking, because I took this cue. Here's something for the viewing audience, right? So as you can probably tell, I'm the big mouth of the show, right? But then Ian will come in and he'll say things quietly. And last time he said something very quietly that I studied all week. He said he had a friend. I can't be as quiet and smooth as it is, but I'll try. He said, I got a friend, all right, who thinks Bitcoin dominance is way too high. And it's a problem for Bitcoin and a problem for the crypto market. Well, since I'm a student of the game, I was like, let's check it out. So here we are from CoinTrader, we have Bitcoin dominance monthly. So as you can see here, we've got this really, you know, awful candlestick for the month of September. Bitcoin dominance going all the way back to 2013 to 2018. We're right at the 50% retracement level. So Bitcoin has obviously been the only game in town for 3 months. All right. So how does this get resolved? In other words, if Bitcoin dominance is too high, there's only two ways it gets resolved. Either Ethereum, Litecoin, and such crypto world, the crypto world below them, has to take off, right? Like this chart, like alts have to hold, and Ethereum has to lead a monster move up in those coins, or unfortunately, the only other way that this dominance problem gets corrected is if Bitcoin goes to like 2,000. Remember that whole blockchain Bitcoin thing? Remember that last year? That's what everyone's like, oh, you know, I think blockchain, not Bitcoin. Well, you know, if those people are right, then that's how this dominance thing gets corrected if it needs to be corrected. So, you know, Ian's not running the show for no reason, folks. Trust me. So when he says something, I check it out. All right. Now, there's another guy out there. Okay. And, you know, he's got some interesting work. You know, he thinks we're going into a major recession and, you know, we're going to have like a 60% correction in the stock market. And, you know, that's going to wipe out major assets. And he thinks Bitcoin is going to be one of those assets. All right. Now, I think that could happen, but I think central banks and administrations would react with so much money printing that it would be good for Bitcoin, not bad. But I do respect the fact that, you know, if global assets get roughed up, Bitcoin could get roughed up too. So, you know, some of the math is he's putting out there is a simple retracement of the big Bitcoin move up. Right. So as I said earlier, this is a weekly chart of Bitcoin. Big moves have 5 parts. So this is 2017. You know, you have, wow, this is cool. Gee, this is boring. Oh, my God. Oh, wait. Oh, goodness. You know, I got to buy it for my daughter and my grandma and everybody. Right. And then we start a 3-part correction. Okay. Elliott guys call it ABC. All right. So if you have A, okay, that was the initial drop. You have B, the move to 13,000. And then this guy and a lot of people are saying it's a C wave with Bitcoin going to, I don't know, pick a number. I drew the start of the rally in 2017 in July near 1800. Just pick the most ridiculous number you can. That's what it feels like people do every time Bitcoin goes down to 20%. Now, could this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if Bitcoin dominance is the problem, the only way to fix that is to wipe out Bitcoin. Sure,
but I think that's very unlikely, right? Because Bitcoin dominance has been rising because people have lost a ton of faith in most altcoins, right? And I think it definitely is justified, right? Based on the last 2 years, there's a lot more risk in investing in altcoins without experiencing the same level of reward we were experiencing 2 years back in 2017. And I think, yeah, as you mentioned, Ethereum definitely has to lead that race. It looked like it was 1 to 2 weeks ago before the crash, the pullback. But I'm definitely curious to see how Ethereum bounces back because there is no alt season without an Ethereum season, I believe.
Right, that's totally correct. And I wanted to show this chart because, again, this chart's out there. I mean, I have another person who I deeply respect. And his theory is simple. Bitcoin may go down until Bitcoin Cash goes to zero because Bitcoin Cash has no use and it's sort of like a Frankenstein monster. It needs to die. Now, I don't want to get into it.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, because I mean, Bitcoin Cash is going to stay around for a while. I mean, I think I agree that there's not much value or innovation in it, right? But I think that in crypto, rarely do tokens die or coins die, right? They die a slow death, which could take 10 years to die, right?
All right. Well, Ian, I'm absolutely delighted to hear you say that because I think this whole bearish argument, that I've gotten from smart people, right? I just don't agree with it, right? I think Bitcoin at 8,000, frankly, it feels like when I look at it, I go, oh my God, it's so scary. It doesn't go up. I can't buy it. I'm afraid. And then they go, wait a minute. That's when you're supposed to buy it. You're supposed to buy it when you're afraid. Everyone's afraid. No one agrees with me. Everyone's like, oh, stay away. No, I like it. All right. So, but, the price action was humbling. And I have to respect the people who think it's going lower. Right. I don't have to agree with them, but I have to respect it. Right. And I just think other developments out there, and one of them I'm going to put up is the equity market. So, there's a lot of comedy in the world today, right? So here's some comedy. QQQ tech stocks, which I can guarantee, do you know where Elizabeth Warren thinks she's going to get all her money from? From taxing big tech stocks, Amazon, all these guys, right?
Okay.
So QQQ, NASDAQ 100 ETF is, 10% above its 200-day moving average. Okay. So everyone's talking about, I don't know, anything from recession to, geopolitical uncertainty to political candidates from the far left with socialist agendas getting elected or becoming prominent in their party. Oh, stocks are not paying attention at all. So wait a minute. The stock market's 10% above its 200-day moving average, and Bitcoin is below its 200-day moving average? Really? Oh, I look at these charts and I'm like, you know what? No, I don't believe it. I think stocks should be below their 200-day moving average, and Bitcoin should be going to 16,000. Okay. And, if I'm wrong, then, you can all call in next week and you can make fun of me, but not too much, because this week, unlike last week, I think I'm a little bit more balanced, right? The price action was humbling. There's no bounce, and you have to respect the bearish argument. You have to keep your position size. You have to do what's called right size your positions, right? You don't take huge positions in this market, particularly if you want to be long, right? You have to keep stops tight, and you have to know, like, if it breaks 7,400, like, I can draw stuff on charts. I can draw 6,400, right? I have a chart where I can draw 4,500.
Now, Bill, quick question. So back to your statement on right size. So what percentage in terms of right size makes sense in terms of your portfolio, in terms of a particular trade?
Well, I mean, any particular trade, I don't think in this environment, you know, assuming we're working with, you know, decent money, I don't think we should be doing more than 1% of total capital. If you're going to like day trade, like if you're on BitMEX, right? Don't risk more than 1% of total capital, right? You know, in terms of like buying Bitcoin long term, you know, hopefully you're not all in. I think, you know, 8,000, between 8,000 and 7,500 is an area where you can start to accumulate. The emphasis is start. So if you have fiat to put to work, I think 8,000 to 7,500 is a place for buy and hold investors, right? Now, those people have to have a stop in mind, because again, if it takes out 7,500 and the bears are right and it's blockchain, not Bitcoin, I don't know where the bottom is. There's a saying that, you know, bottom fishing is a very expensive sport. So to sum up, if you're trading 1% of your portfolio, if you're doing buy and hold, you know, I would say don't go past 50% Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. So quick question for our audience who's watching this from everywhere, from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Drop in the comments whether you're a trader or a long-term investor. I think that definitely makes sense for those who have kind of both perspectives, but just to kind of have an idea, if you're a trader, just comment, I'm a trader in the comments below. And if you're a long-term hodler, then comment in the comments. Just say you're a hodler. All right, so let's take some questions here from the audience.
All right.
So people are saying they definitely like that. They agree with that. Some people are also not so bullish on altcoins. They're asking about our thoughts on Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum Classic. I think we covered Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash. We didn't cover Ethereum Classic. We can get to that towards the end of the show after you're done with your TA for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
All right. Well, I can take a look at Bitcoin Cash, because whoever is asking this question is asking a great question. Because I will tell you this, Bitcoin Cash has done nothing but underperform. Like, you know, this whole thing started with Bitcoin Cash going down, you know, basically like 10% every day, right? Every day, Bitcoin Cash went down 10%. So, you know, once this thing broke the 200-day moving average, it hit this big Fibonacci resistance line. Okay, right here. Okay, just like right here. And it just fell out of bed. Now, the thing that scares me about Bitcoin Cash, and this is why, you know, I'm respecting, now I'm not only respecting the person who talks about it, but I'm respecting that there really is not a lot of support in Bitcoin Cash on the way down. There's nobody home in some ways until like 168. So if the whole market cracks, could just disappear. Right? So Bitcoin Cash scares me. Bitmain, who holds a lot of Bitcoin Cash, you know, I'm afraid that, you know, I'm afraid that they're the ones who are out there crushing the market. Okay, Ethereum Classic. Remind me the symbol. Let me. Is it ETHC?
Yes, yeah. No, ETC. ETC, I believe. Yeah, Ethereum Classic.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I know a lot of my equity market friends like to tease me when they talk about the Ethereum Classic ETF, or it's like a trust that they have in the equity market. They like to say that, you know, it's for all the sort of retail equity market investors who are not always the smartest people. All right. So, you know, when I look at this, You know, it doesn't look as bad as Bitcoin Cash, but this, I don't know that this is the place to be. I mean, there is some support, but if they break the support, you know, they already broke kind of a big trend line. All right. And again, you know, the lower quality stuff is not doing well. It's not. Right. It needs Ethereum. It needs Big Brother to recover. So, you know, does this look horrible? No, it doesn't look horrible. But I would want to buy Ethereum before I bought this. Because again, if this support, this little tiny support here gives out, I just think it'd make a new low.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps people. Let's take some more questions, or rather comments from the audience. So Tana was saying the momentum has kind of dissipated. So now the bulls are starting to take a hold of things, in my opinion. Okay, that's interesting. Then Solo TV is saying cryptos will rise again. Yeah, I think long-term, all of us are bullish on crypto. We're just going through this tough moment in time. Then let's say, so Muhammad is saying he's an investor. Gladiator is saying he's a long-term investor. Mitch Legs is saying long-term investor. Splash, long-term investor. James, long-term investor. Wow, lots of long-term investors here. How game is strong. Altcoin College is saying he's both. Philip is a trader. Juan is a long-term investor. Miami Car Apps is a trader. Muhammad is asking when alts will rise. I think we'll kind of get into this, but right now it's not looking good short-term, but maybe in the long term. Red for Danger, trader and long-term hodler. Crypto Soldier is both. Jonathan is a hodler. AN is, I guess he's just saying to buy some shit, altcoin. We'll skip that one. Vanio, both. Ed, hybrid. Okay, so it's a good sample size. Most people are hodlers. So most people, they believe long-term, which is always good for crypto, but definitely make sure you practice proper portfolio management and risk mitigation, because I know people in crypto really practice that. And that's even with the good traders or the good investors.
Right. I mean, when you have something moving in 20 to 25% increments in a matter of days, like, you know, I have my collared shirt on and I look all composed and I'm okay for TV today. But like, you know, Tuesday last week, I'm sitting here at 2 o'clock in the morning going, oh my God, what am I going to say on Sunday? Now, of course, because we're there for our reading audience, and I mean that. We want to be there for you. We want to help you. That's what the Token Metrics platform is about. But when you have that kind of environment, you know, you have to protect yourself. You have to be smart, right? You can be savvy and say, you know what, if everyone's bearish, I think I'll tilt bullish, all right? But you have to be smart.
Yeah.
Right, because God forbid Bitcoin ever did dislocate lower. That's a trading term. You know, God forbid there was another 2018 repeat. You want to have at least some fiat to put in down there.
Okay, so one question we're getting from the audience is, when's a good time to get into Bitcoin? I mean, obviously we can't give any particular financial advice for any individual person, but if we ourselves were looking to get into Bitcoin, when would be a good target or a good time frame based on the technical analysis?
All right. Well, believe it or not, the short answer is if you had no Bitcoin at all, right? And you had some money to put into it, I would say take 15 to 20% of it. And if you get the dip below 8,000 again, then now. The answer is now. If you've got no Bitcoin, you know, grab some now. I mean, it was at 13,000 2 months ago. You know, it's a 30% off sale.
So I'll just add on to that. If I had no Bitcoin, I think the only way to get in right now would be to dollar cost average, right? So just buying some Bitcoin or crypto each month. But even that can be pretty tough because I know Coinbase they had this program that they launched, I think almost 2 years back, for that would let users or the customers dollar cost average into crypto every single month. But after a year and a half, people were still in the red. People had lost so much money dollar cost averaging that they canceled the program. And I think they just didn't really want to have that negative energy, or having the customers mad at them for dollar cost averaging and still being down after almost 2 years because the whole market was down. But long term, I think it's definitely a good strategy for beginners.
Yes, I think I call it active dollar cost average, right? So automatically buying Bitcoin every month. If you started at the top of the market, your average price is probably about 10,000. Okay. I think the way to do it is, you put in a certain percentage of capital. You say, I'm going to hold it. And if it say takes out, I don't know, 7,000, then I'm going to get out and wait, or I'll reduce my position in half. The other way to do it is you can buy it, and the only way you would add to the position is if it started to go in your favor, right? So it's like this thing we were talking about last week. You have to earn the right to take risk. So instead of buy it, it goes down, 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 which can really mess with your head, you would buy it, hold it, okay? Hope it doesn't go to zero. And then if it actually goes your way, then start adding on dips. That's the strategy that I would prefer. Right.
All right. Sounds good. So what other altcoins have we covered this week that we could kind of talk about?
Okay. Well, I mean, we had a lot of excitement on ZRX on Coinbase. Okay. So we're looking at the daily chart right here of ZRX. Okay. So earlier in the week, we had the Coinbase effect. All right, where everything spiked up right to the 200-day moving average. Okay, generally speaking, our call in altcoins, no matter what altcoin I'm looking at, it's going to be the same thing. Do not FOMO into an altcoin rally. Do not. Okay, a lot of them go to big technical points and then they fail. Now, if you want to buy a dip, okay. If you like it and you want to try it, by all means. At this point, I think it's either all going to go up or it's all going to go down, really. So the theme is don't chase it, but if you love it and you want to buy a dip, that's fine. Okay, we talked about Cosmos. Okay, so what we saw in Cosmos was when we covered it, we said don't buy it when it ran up here to the 23% retracement. If you want to buy it, buy a dip. Okay. So again, don't FOMO, but now here's an altcoin that we think is really interesting. Okay. This is Binance Coin. All right. And you're going to watch me do a little bit of drawing here. So bear with me. All right. So I think Binance Coin is at a very interesting point near 15. Okay, 1492 is the 76% retracement of this whole run up. Okay, and remember how I told you corrections have 3 parts? Okay, here's your A, your B, and your C. All right, folks, Binance Coin, like Ethereum, is on a big support level. And yes, it's not rocketing to the upside, but it's also not crashing. And this may sound a little complex, but let's say you had someone out there who was really in trouble and they're like, oh my God, like 2018, I have got to sell all my crypto right now. Normally, that type of selling forces the market to drop sharply, but then the market comes back because that sort of massive artificial pressure gets relieved with a bounce. So I know it's counterintuitive, but the fact that there's no bounce in this market leads me to believe that you just had a panic flush and now everyone is scared. And nowhere is that better seen than in Binance Coin. All right. So, you know, we did look at, you know, other altcoins. You know, we did look at things like Komodo, which again ran to resistance and stopped. All right. You know, and we looked at a lot of these other coins. It's the same story. Okay?
Now, Bill, to kind of comment on what you just said about Binance, I think that does make sense because lots of traders sold Binance or BNB because their last two IEOs didn't perform well. And then Binance basically kicked off all American users on their platform and made them go on to Binance US. So I think because of that transition, people were uncertain of how well received Binance US would be. So I think lots of traders sold to kind of not really play that risk. So I think that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge amount of, you know, I mean, altcoins were a casino. You know, everyone calls it alt season, right? Like, you know, it's autumn in New York, like a Frank Sinatra song. I'm not the biggest fan of crypto as a casino. I know you can make tons of money. I know people love alts. I want the alt guys to tune into the show. But, you know, Binance Coin went up because the alt casino was hot. But Binance Coin has a future because Coinbase charges way too much. And if I can pay my fees in Binance in a currency like Binance Coin that can appreciate, then I might not mind paying Binance's fees. So, you know, you have to buy when no one likes it. You know, you don't buy when everyone likes it. You buy it when no one likes it. And 76% retracements are kind of the ultimate no one likes it points.
All right. So we have a request from the audience. They're saying to look into Ren, REN.
Okay.
Yeah, Ren Bitcoin on Binance.
Okay. All right. So let's have a look. Okay. So this is just what I would draw. You know, this is like, all right, you know, what would you draw? Oh, let's see if I can get to that one. Okay, so I don't exactly know where the resistance would be. Let me get the resistance up. Okay, so with Ren, I think you can get a rally up here to 576. Okay, that's where it went before. So, you know, there is upside potential. I'm not sure unless I saw a huge breakout above here that I would be in love with it. Because again, FOMOing into alts after a big move is not good. But you know, if you held it, there's reason for some hope that it can pop up here.
Yeah.
What I can, you know, again, you know, this is like I got to think of it analysis on the fly. I would say if it failed up here at 576, that might mean it could make a new low, right? Because somebody crushed this thing for a reason.
I'll just add on to that. I think, as you said, FOMOing into alts right now is a bad idea. You could say it's almost like getting married in Vegas. You know? Right? That's a bad idea. I mean, or rather, yeah, getting married like those shotgun weddings.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So
no, you were right. The Elvis wedding in Vegas because you had a great weekend. You
yeah.
know, when reality sets in Monday morning, it's
not so good. Yeah. No offense to anybody that got married in Vegas, by the way. Okay. So can you look into Zilica and Loom? That was a request from somebody as well.
Okay. So Loom, I think, is interesting. Okay. This may actually have serious upside potential. All right. So what Loom did was Loom came all the way down. Okay. And it bounced. I said don't FOMO, but it's returned to this spot, this prior high, okay? Now, if Loom holds where it is right now, that looks like 368. If Loom holds, it can turn around and go to 654 because that's the 23% retracement of this avalanche lower. So this is this is interesting. I have to tell you. In other words, I think you have to be a little bit patient. I think you have to wait and see if this holds, because if this is like a bull trap, okay, then this whole thing can just unwind. But I do think this is very interesting. I think my comments on this on the blog was, this is more interesting than most.
Which is a good thing right now.
Yes,
a
for
good
an
place to be.
altcoin, that's a good thing. What's your other symbol?
I believe it was Zil, Z-I-L. Yes. Yeah, Zil. Let's do Binance, I think.
Right.
Yeah, Binance typically has the most volume. Yeah, Zil on Binance. If anybody is holding Loom, comment below and tell us your thoughts on it. Just tell us whether you're hodling or whether you plan to sell. And same thing for Zil. If you're holding it, just comment below. Or if you plan to sell, just comment sell. Loving the questions, guys. Keep them coming.
All right. So, with Zil, I mean, again, I'm always looking for a demonstration of strength, right? So this prior low, Zil has to prove that it can hold above this line. So that looks like 62. Okay. And if it does that, then this could be okay. And if not, then it's just dead. But this does look like a final capitulation. This does feel like people gave up. Right.
It's very good. It's very good you say that, because I do believe people have given up, because one of the co-founders left the company to found a new company. So basically, one of the co-founders left Zilica to go form a new shitcoin. Right. So I feel like the community in a way has kind of given up. Right. And it's so good that you could see that just by looking at the chart.
Right. Well, I'm glad that that's why we have, all types of different points of view in token metrics. I do think this is, if that is the fundamental backdrop behind this chart, then this is interesting. Because if people have given up, Kramer on CNBC, he says there's always a bull market somewhere. Right. So, some altcoins, if you could pick them and you like them and you know how they work, this could be the next spike. But, I can't say for sure, but I can say, you want to buy after people have given up.
Yeah, that's always good. Basically, buy exhaustion, right?
Right.
When people are so tired.
Right. They just, when I believe the saying in crypto is when people rage quit, right? There's a lot of rage quitting in alts where people just sell everything and go on Twitter and, they curse the world. I was doing that on Tuesday on the big coins. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But, that's always a good time, honestly, speaking from personal experience. When the market humbles you, it's a great time to say, all right, what is really happening on the chart here? How can I be as objective as possible? And that's what we're trying to give you from everything from Bitcoin to Zil.
Yeah, spot on. Okay, so somebody's asking, can we look into Litecoin?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Matter of fact, that's like my closet pet project on the charts. Okay, so let's talk about Litecoin. All right. So I like to use both diagonal and horizontal resistance and support. That's how I navigate crypto. So this is a 2-day chart of Litecoin. Now, here's one of the things I've noticed. So I draw this thing called fib speed resistance fan. Okay, it's right here on TradingView. All right, I draw that. All right, and then I focus in on it. And when I focus in on it, here's what I see. I see Litecoin crashing and then doing a lot of wicks right here at this 52 level. And again, this is a longer term time frame on a 2-day chart. And this goes all the way back, like for example, when Litecoin broke 52 in November, that's when it disappeared and lost half its value. So the point being that this 52 level has been an inflection point in the past. And believe it or not, it goes all the way back to November of 2017, when the whole Litecoin rally started right here at about 52 or 54 in 2017. Okay, so what do I think about Litecoin? Well, you know what? Remember the person earlier who asked, if I had no crypto, what should I do? Let me ask you something. If you had no crypto and you opened up a crypto account and you saw that you could get, 10 Litecoin for $600, is that a good idea or a bad idea? Well, I wouldn't put all of it in Litecoin, but Litecoin visually is so cheap. And I always think of it, I know Novogratz doesn't like it because he thinks it's just nothing more than a Bitcoin test net. And I get it. The smart guys don't like it, but I always say to myself, you could buy a cup of coffee in a nation like Estonia or, places where they love crypto. Someday you might be able to buy everyday things with a fast moving network like Litecoin. So when it's at 52, I go, wow, that feels like Christmas to me, right? So, I mean, if it goes to 25 and I'm an idiot, then so be it. But at 52, it looks appealing.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Can you look into Verge, XVG? The audience is requesting.
All right. XVG.
Yeah, what options do we have?
Binance?
Yeah.
All right. So, when you have these kind of things that do nothing but go down, it's really tough to analyze them. I would say this. Like, let's try this. Let's try it. Ooh, wait. Okay. So let's look at this on a 12-hour bar. Let's try to look at it at a short-term time frame. And let's do what we were doing on that other coin, right? This is people giving up. This is the relief rally. This is like anybody who didn't sell all the way down finally gives up. And then this could be the point where you want to get in, assuming this has any value, right? So I'm not saying that this is great. I'm not saying I feel like going out and buying it, but I am saying if you like this, it looks like people have given up. So if you want to try, go ahead.
I mean, me personally, I would not hold Verge long term, right? But as a trader, that's definitely a different ballgame. But as a long-term hodler, I do not believe in Verge, especially now that privacy coins are being delisted on lots of exchanges. And as we saw with OKX Korea and some other exchanges, I think it's going to get tougher for privacy coins.
Right. I mean, again, so I try to do the chart work off the questions without knowing what it is first. And then, that's kind of our,
that's the best way as a trader, right?
That's the best way to do it. But, Ian's right. The big privacy coins have got problems. Well, then the little privacy coins, we know what word we would use for them. So, just keep that in mind.
All right, let's take one more. I think somebody was saying to look into Nash.
All right, let's check it out.
NASH. Okay, yeah, I don't think that's available.
Yeah, I don't think we can get that on TradingView.
Okay, so then last request, people are saying to look at Ethereum versus BTC?
Ooh, somebody after my own heart with that. All right, so let's check it out. Okay. All right, give me a second, clean up this chart. All right, let's see. Okay, so this is not a surprise, right? That anytime I draw, so you just watched me do what I do with, with charts, right? Like I'll just say, okay, what am I going to say about this chart? And I'll say, here was the big peak in Ethereum versus Bitcoin, right? Here's the big 5-wave collapse, right? And then maybe this is the new trend going up. So note, after I drew these lines, so how do I know if those lines were any good? Well, it stopped up here, it came back down, and Ethereum bounced versus Bitcoin off the line, and now we're just sitting right there. Now, I don't know who asked this question, but let me give you some love, because I think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin. Now, I'm hoping that's in an up market where Ethereum just leads, right? I hope it's not one of these things where Bitcoin falls apart on the way down and Ethereum is more slow moving. I think Ethereum has a good shot of outperforming Bitcoin if crypto goes up. That's the bottom line. And this chart seems to help me with that argument, right? If Ethereum versus Bitcoin can just break out from here, I think there's a lot of potential for Ethereum. So I'm not a Bitcoin hater.
That makes sense. That makes so much sense.
I just think ETH can really lead. Like ETH is not a double-digit crap coin. It's not.
Yeah.
It's the real deal. And when it catches up to Bitcoin, if that happens, when it catches up to Bitcoin in market cap, in stature, that could be a spectacular rally, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I definitely agree with that. Our developer, he actually went to go see Vitalik talk in London a month ago, Paresh, and Vitalik was speaking about Ethereum 2.0, and he came back so ecstatic, so excited about what's coming for Ethereum. I haven't really seen him like that since he was talking about Matic Network, which ended up performing well, and we definitely respect his expertise when it comes to blockchain technology. And if he's getting really excited about Ethereum 2.0, our team is as well. So we think the technology is fundamentally sound, right? Ethereum has the fundamentals. I think right now the only negative had been the technicals, but the technicals, the TA is now really turning bullish, minus the past week or so with the flash crash. But I think once that recovers, things definitely do look good for Ethereum as we get closer and closer to Casper coming out next year.
Yeah, I mean, help me out with the name, but I think his first name is Joe. I saw like the number 2 guy at Ethereum at South by Southwest.
Lubin. Joe
Yes.
Lubin, yes.
Right. I sat with him with a very, very big trader who used to work for an institution. He got famous in 2008. And when this guy was done talking, he looked at me about Ethereum and he said, we as in Ethereum holders, we're in good hands. Okay. And I thought it was a really impressive talk. So, I mean,
yeah, that's good.
This news. Crypto market is going to have to do something really dramatic to make me give up on Ethereum.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ethereum is probably the last coin people will give up on just based on how big the community is, the value they create. I think it's one of the better coins out there.
Right. But in the investor community, it's kind of under the radar and underappreciated, right? Like everyone talks about Bitcoin futures and backed. That's that's not the conversation. The conversation should be about, you know, how cool Ethereum is going to be underneath the hood. So,
yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tokemetrics live stream. We definitely appreciate all the comments and everything. We have one last question for the audience out there. Tell us what coin you believe in the most in the comments below, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Loom, Matic, what have you. Just comment the coin name in the comments below. We just want to have a better idea of what our community believes in the most and what they're holding. All right. And also be sure to like and subscribe to this, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, even the podcast. Just be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share with your friends. And without being said, any last words, Bill?
Ian, I'm always happy to be on the show, and I'm always grateful for whoever tunes in. We appreciate your business and your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody watching this show is Crypto Family. Be sure to join us in our Telegram group. Just go on Telegram and search for Tokemetrics, or just go to our website, tokemetrics.com, join the email list, and follow us on social media, especially in the Telegram group. With that being said, hope everybody had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys this coming week. Take care.
All right, Ian, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye.